Our Archimedes vineyard has prolonged sun exposure, and this promotes more growth for the actual vine, lending itself to have more developed flavors. It's slow and steady in its ripening, and we have a little bit of onshore wind that actually helps cool the temperatures during the day. The wine style goal for our Archimedes really is its uniqueness. Every vintage brings something new to the table. The Archimedes vineyard is atop Pine Mountain, which is a hillside vineyard, and thus bringing very firm tannins, good concentration, and its own sense of place. The vineyard itself is providing very small berries and concentration, which we can't find in many lower areas within different appellations. In the Archimedes wine itself, we are not only just bringing in fruit and specific lots from our Archimedes vineyard, but we are also blending in other vineyards to help promote the wine to be the best wine that we can make from that vintage. Our hillside vineyard provides those firm tannins, great structure, good color, and the lower elevation wines are actually bringing into this wine more fleshiness, more fruit, and just pulling out the structure and making it a more attractive wine.
Growing grapes on the mountain versus growing grapes on the valley floor has quite a few differences. The vineyards on the mountaintop will have a much harder time pulling up water and nutrients from the soil versus the valley floor. On the mountaintop, you'll get a much more concentrated grape, full of flavor, just delicious. On the valley floor, you'll get a much more bountiful harvest. While still being delicious, you'll get bigger clusters, bigger berries. Growing on top of this high elevation, we have a handful of challenges that also have great benefits to it. Some of the challenges are the growing season itself. Whereas we'll be down here in the lower valley floor, already on our second growing pass, suckering, up on the top mountain, we're just starting pruning, which is about a month delay. But also up on top, we have a different microclimate. We've got protection being up high on the mountain, where we'll have 115 degree temperature heat wave down on the valley floor. Up high, it's getting a max of 105. But it also works on the inverse too. When we have a cold 65 degree day in the fog down below, we're above the fog line. We're sitting at 85 degrees, 75, 85 degrees up there. And due to this, it makes our growing season much more compact. So where we started late in the beginning, we catch up through the end of the season. Water is another concern up on the mountain. We have a pond that we irrigate the majority of our vineyard from, and we're only allowed to fill that pond 3 months out of the year. And if we're in a year like we have been, where it's a drought, our ability to fill this pond is not really there. So we have to be very water conscious about it. Luckily, there are some underground streams throughout the different blocks where we're able to almost dry farm one or two of the spots up there. When you look at the new planting that we have on the very peak of the mountain, we get another variable that we don't have down below and something I've never dealt with before. We've got winds that can blow upwards of 95 miles an hour throughout the growing season of May to July. And I've even seen it later in the year as well. So during the active shoot growth time, we're just getting hammered by wind. And that's something that we're gonna have to take into account for this. But the benefits of all these variables is that we have a very nice hardy vine that has deep reaching roots that are pulling up underground water, underground nutrients, and just giving us the best balance between vine and fruit that we can. Up on the mountain, our priority is not to get the biggest quantity of fruit, it's to make the best tasting quality fruit that we can. And these challenges really help for that.
Our Archimedes can be cellared probably for as long as the consumer would like. We would recommend laying it down for maybe 6 months after you buy it, just to make sure that it is as round as we really want it to be in the palate. As winemakers, we are actually looking at let's see, can this be cellared for long? Is it going to be consumed tonight? When you're looking at this wine, we're thinking that the consumer really wants to cellar this wine and use it for a special occasion. That special occasion can be 10 years from now, and you're still gonna have a great structured wine with some fruit behind it, and it's gonna taste amazing. My favorite food pairing for Archimedes is probably a grilled New York steak. It's delicious. The wine's structure pairs so nicely with some of that fat and richness from the steak. Another recommendation with this Archimedes would be mushroom risotto. The richness from the mushrooms really pulls out actually some of the fruit aromatics and the fruit on the palate of this wine. Our Archimedes stands out because of the layered uniqueness and the depth to this wine. Its unique topography, geography, and elevation are all the first fingerprint into the wine. With fruit that is harvested from this vineyard, you are guaranteed a unique wine. Our neighbors are making some really incredible wines using the same soil series, the same clones, some of the same farming practices, but we are really pushing the limits with the location of our vineyard and the way that we are making our wines. Archimedes Vineyard is at the top of Pine Mountain and shares one of the highest elevations in Sonoma County that has a vineyard planted on it. So this in itself creates a unique wine and something that is unlike any other wine in Sonoma County. This vineyard probably could be compared to many other locations in the world, but due to our unique topography and geography and elevation and all of those wonderful things that we have going for us, we are going to create a different wine than anyone else can. Our Archimedes vineyard is certified sustainable, also fish-friendly farming, and was one of the pilot vineyards in Sonoma County working on a carbon sequestration farming plan. We're so excited about future vintages off of this distinctive property. We have a second phase going on now that we are in our third leaf, so just coming into fruitfulness. And this is really pushing the limits. It's at the highest elevation, close to 2,400 feet. And we are just now seeing the benefits and some of the challenges that we have in the vineyard. But as a whole, this vineyard is really creating a unique wine that no one can replicate.
While we do have fruit on the vine this year, that was not the vine's priority. This year, because of the wind, rocky soils, all the challenges we have going into here, I wanted to focus the vine's development on getting a hardy, good foundation. We pruned it down minimal so that we would have most of the effort going into vegetative growth and root development. Next year, we will actually lay down fruiting canes and take some of that energy we had in vegetative growth and funnel it into berry growth. And I really expect next year and the future vintages to be absolutely delicious.